Hi folks, it's been a really long time since I've made a video like this, but I wanted to share a little bit with you about some things I've been kind of reflecting on, and I wanted to give you an update on my personal journey, and because I see, especially this time of year, for some reason, a lot of people are posting about this, a lot of people are making videos about this, and I wanted to kind of give my a little bit of background here. First of all, I want to say this, that I said a couple months ago that I wouldn't really, it'd be very rare for me giving an update on my weight loss journey and all of that. I feel like at the time that I was kind of flooding my posts with, here's another pound, here's another pound, here's another pound, and I'm thinking, people, you don't need to know that. I mean, probably not a whole lot of people really care about that. But I'm sharing today because I wanted to share some things that have come to mind, and this kind of bleeds out into different areas, and I'll explain here. Today I weighed myself, and I am lower. My weight loss goal was 40 pounds, and I made that goal a while ago, but now I'm at 46 pounds, and this is the smallest I've ever been as a grown human being, which means even before, I think around my freshman year of high school, or even before that, even lighter than that. I say that to say this. A lot of people have been talking about their goals and how they've fallen off the wagon and all of these kind of things. And I have to say that for me, it has been a struggle all my life. My weight has been something that I have dealt with and have battled, and I might have lost 10 pounds here, 12 pounds. That was a huge thing for me. And then I would just kind of go, back the other direction. What I realized is in my journey, it worked a lot different than I thought it would. Because I had an overall journey, and not really knowing scientifically or medically how many pounds I could stand to lose, I just threw out a number. I threw out 40 pounds. I'm not as big as some, I'm not as small as some, so it would vary for you perhaps. But I realized I started setting goals that were not these big goals, but they were, I had an end goal that I wanted to meet, 40 pounds. And then what I realized, what worked for me was I would have specific milestones in those goals. Not milestones necessarily that were weight oriented, but different things that I was doing throughout the process that I would add or subtract or something like that. And let me give you an example. When I started my weight loss journey, it started out as a kind of a scare for me because, and I think I've told you all this, if you know my story, you know this, but it started out as me needing to cut out sugar because I was having some high blood sugar issues and I was noticing those things. So I ended up cutting out sugar, cutting out sweets, and I still ate breads and things like that. But I started to lose a little bit of weight, and I thought, hey, this is not bad. I like seeing this progress and things, and it's something I've always struggled with, so this is going the right direction. So I cut out sugar, started to lose some weight. Then I said, hey, I'm going to start walking every day, and I'll incorporate prayer time during that walk. So I started to walk every day. I thought to myself, my next part was, I thought to myself, I really want to be able to track these steps that I'm taking. So I'm going to download the MyFitnessPal app, and there's a lot of different apps like this out there. I'm going to count my calories. So I started to be very, very disciplined about counting calories and still eating what I enjoy, but just being very conservative about that. So then it started to become like a game to me. I started to like, oh, I want to try to get, under my daily recommended calorie intake. So I started to see progress. And throughout the process, I started to come up with these goals that I'd like to meet until I met my final goal. So these goals would include, I want to get to this amount of weight, and when I do that, I can incorporate this, and just all these kind of things that were definite milestones with reward attached. And maybe it's something as simple as, hey, when I get to 20 pounds down, man, I'm going to have me a good meal cheeseburger. I'm going to have to work that into my daily allotment. But that's what it is. And I found out for me that I could never have a situation where it's like, okay, this weekend's a holiday weekend, I'm just going to just let myself do whatever I want. You see, I couldn't do that because I very much looked at my situation as an addict trying to recover. So, and I know people have come up to me and said, hey, that's not healthy, you need to give yourself, but for me, I had to treat it like that because for me, food was an idol. So I began to start to think about this in different areas of my life, and I hit the 40-pound mark, and then I allowed myself to eat sweets, in very much moderation, but I incorporated that back. And I honestly, when I hit 40 pounds and I started to incorporate that, I really plateaued. I didn't go much further than that, and it came very slowly. So I think it's probably been a couple months since I hit that 40-pound goal, but it's just one of those things that when you start to incorporate things and incorporate that in there, I had to be careful, because there was a couple times where I actually started to have high blood sugar things, so I had to get back on the wagon, so to speak. But for the most part, I have a piece of chocolate every once in a while. It's not that big of a deal. For me, I very much incorporate this into a lot of different things. I didn't go into it saying, I need to lose 40 pounds so that I look good by swimsuit weather, by that time, because let's face it, all of us have done that, and I don't know a whole lot of people who have been really successful in that. Maybe a few, but I feel like that we cannot put a deadline on it, but we have milestones that we really, really go for. And let's face it, if you want it bad enough, then you will work for it. And I know all of our body chemistries are different. I know that it's harder for some people to lose than other people. I know that. I definitely know that. But please don't, and I'm going to get harsh here for just a second. Please don't come here and tell me that it's just harder for me than it is for other people when you're holding a donut and you're drinking a Pepsi. I'm sorry that I'm not going to really feel sorry for your journey. But so that's that, okay? And I'll pray for you and all of those kind of things I'm supposed to do as a Christian and a pastor and all that kind of stuff. But that's a pet peeve of mine, as you can see. So I started to put this into other areas of life, and I started to realize that we can't just go out and say, I want to get this done, and throw out this huge goal and throw out this just gigantic thing and never create steps to get there. For instance, a lot of people say, hey, I want to really get reading my Bible. I want to read the whole Bible, and they'll say, I want to read it 9 months or a year. Well, I mean, that is good for a lot of people. That is great. I hope that every one of us can do that, especially Christians. But I feel like for me, and I'm just saying for me, it has been more important for me to saturate myself in, say, a book of the Bible. When I'm done reading it again, reading it again, reading it again, reading a verse, reading the verse before and after, the chapter before and after. So I don't hold myself to, hey, I need to get this done by next September, but I say I need to saturate myself in Scripture all year long. So the idea is that over a period of time, you look back and you realize how much you've accomplished. So I feel like with anything that we're doing in our lives, when we have these gigantic goals, we need to be able to celebrate, like set these mini goals in between the big goal and celebrate each step of the way. I feel like that's where my successes come from, and it's where my journey will continue to head. And I don't look at this as a diet, and I hate when people are talking about, I'm on this new diet. Guys, let's just admit it to ourselves that is just a bad idea. Can we just please admit that to ourselves and stop buying the books and spending lots of money on this stuff? Because you can do this for free. You can do all that kind of stuff. Although I will say this, that a lot of times with people spending money for like coaches and stuff, that can be very, very helpful, someone to keep you accountable. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about all these fads and things like that, that if you don't set mini goals or have times to celebrate, if you don't have ways of holding yourself accountable, if you don't look at this as a forever thing, then it's really not going to work forever. So I think all of us have gotten to the point in our lives where we just have gotten tired of being tired, and we've just gotten sick of being sick, you know. And this is where our journeys have to start. Don't put hey, I need to get this all out by the wedding, or I need to get this get all done by September or January. Just tell yourself that you have a goal and meet many goals, and celebrate those many goals along the way, because that will spur you along and help you to get to that ultimate goal. And when you hit that goal, your journey's not over. Don't throw it all away and say, well, okay, I can do whatever I want now. Allow yourself to be disciplined and keep learning as you go. So do that with scripture reading, do that with any disciplines in your life, do that with weight loss or anything like that. But ultimately, it doesn't come down to a number on a scale. It comes down to overall health. And I can tell you that for me, whenever I started losing weight, for me it was a weight issue. I had too many pounds on my body. That I realized that after I lost that, I became more healthy. I became less discouraged about things. My spiritual life increased. All of these kind of things. That my prayer life got better. So it's all connected, and I feel like if we just allow ourselves to be disciplined and rejoice in the discipline, I think that's something that we forget about, that we think of discipline as something that's dragging us down and we hate because we can never make it through and it's just this burden. But if we allow ourselves to be different people than what we were, we realize that we can live a different life. If you keep doing the same things you've always done, you're always going to get the same results you've always gotten. So I'm sorry if I'm seeming, not a whole lot of grace-based approach here, I guess, but you can make this decision. Now, there are people with health difficulties, with certain thyroid issues. Some women have what's called PCOS. If you have that, I pray for you. We have that in our family. But it's harder for those women, for instance, to lose weight. And I'm getting back to the weight issue. So do what your doctor says. So that's all I got to say. So anyway, I am praying for all of you who have goals out there, who really want to meet them. You can see that I have sweat pouring down here because it's hot in my car. But I'm hoping that gave you some encouragement, that you can do this. If I can do this, something I've been struggling with my entire life, don't look at me and say you don't understand how it feels, because I am right there. I do. I am a great example of that. Something I've been struggling with all my life, and something I've been able to overcome. I'm not going to say I've fully recovered or I'm fully there, because I feel like God always has to tweak us on things. But you know what? You can do this. You can do what you're called to do, and I believe in you. And if I can do it, you can do it. I know it's a very simple message, kind of cliche, but I promise. Make little steps. That first step is the hardest, but you can do this.